What if the biggest mystery in From was never why the boy in white speaks in riddles, but why he's not allowed to tell the truth? Episode May 9th have quietly confirmed something terrifying. The boy in white is not free. He isn't just choosing to stay vague. He's following rules. Rules that seem older than the town itself. And if those rules are broken, people die. For seasons, fans have asked the same question. If the boy in white knows so much, why doesn't he just tell Boyd, Tabitha, Jade, or Victor exactly how to escape? Why leave clues? Why force them to suffer? Why let the cycle repeat over and over again? At first, it made no sense. But after episode 9, everything looks different. Because what if helping directly is actually the most dangerous thing he could do? And what if the massacre in Victor's past was proof of that? The show may have been telling us from the very beginning that knowledge, in this place, doesn't save you. It destroys you. And the boy in white learned that lesson before anyone else. To understand why he cannot help the townspeople, we need to go back to Christopher. Christopher is one of the most important missing pieces in this entire story. We know that before Victor became the longest survivor, Christopher was different. Victor trusted him. People listened to him. But something happened. Something changed everything. And that change happened right after the boy in white showed him the truth. That detail matters. Victor told us that Christopher started seeing the symbol, just like Jade. He started digging deeper into the mystery, just like Tabitha. And at some point, the boy in white told him about the children. That should have been a good thing. But it wasn't. Not long after, the massacre happened. Almost everyone died. And what's interesting is that the show still refuses to explain exactly what caused it. That silence feels intentional. Because I think the answer is simple. Christopher learned something he wasn't supposed to learn yet. That's the pattern. This place isn't built like a normal prison. It's built like a system. A ritual system. Every step matters. Every choice matters. And more importantly, timing matters. Sophia's line in episode May 9th be one of the most important lines in the entire series. She said this place is built on ritual. And in ritual, how you do something matters just as much as what you do. That line explains almost everything. It explains why Tabitha couldn't just force the bottle tree to work. It explains why Jade had to remember through the music. It explains why the Angui children never simply explain themselves. And it explains why the boy in white speaks in fragments. Because direct knowledge breaks the ritual. Think about it. Every major breakthrough in From only happens when the characters discover it themselves. Boyd found the talismans by accident. Tabitha discovered the tunnels by falling into them. Jade uncovered the symbol through visions. Victor survived by piecing things together over decades. None of them were handed answers. That can't be random. This place demands understanding through experience. And that may be the price of escape. The boy in white understands this better than anyone. That's why when Victor asked him why he didn't help before, his answer was so strange. I tried with Christopher. That line changes everything. Because it tells us he already made the mistake once. He gave too much. And the result was catastrophe. After that, he changed his approach. No more direct answers. Only breadcrumbs. Only symbols. Only guidance. Enough to move the cycle forward, but never enough to break the rules. And when you look back, that's exactly what he's been doing. He led Sarah to the tree. He guided Victor to wait for Tabitha. He pushed Tabitha toward the lighthouse. He even sent Boyd into the dungeon, where he met Martin. At the time, these moments felt random. But now we know they weren't. They were rituals. Necessary steps. Every painful event was moving the story somewhere. Even Smiley's death. Even Fatima's pregnancy. Even Jade's visions. All of it feels connected. And here's the terrifying part. If the boy in white is following ritual rules, then someone else probably is too. Someone who understands them even better. The man in yellow. And unlike the boy in white, he isn't trying to guide people through the ritual. He's trying to corrupt it. He knows where the cycle is supposed to go. And he knows exactly where to interfere. That changes the entire war happening in Fromville. Because this isn't good versus evil. It's two forces fighting over the correct sequence of events. One trying to free the town, the other trying to keep it trapped. And the townspeople are stuck in the middle, without realizing they are part of the ritual itself. But there's one moment in episode 9 that proves this theory more than anything else. And it might reveal why the boy in white stopped Tabitha from entering the tree a second time. That moment with Tabitha and the bottle tree may be the clearest proof that the boy in white cannot simply help whenever he wants. At first, that scene felt confusing. Tabitha had already used the bottle tree once and reached the lighthouse. That trip changed everything. It led her back into the real world. It gave her answers. It pushed the story forward. So naturally, when she wanted to go through it again, it seemed like the obvious next move. But the boy in white stopped her. And he looked serious. He told her something important. He said he didn't think the tree would take her to the lighthouse this time. That line sounded simple, but it carried huge meaning. Because it tells us the tree does not work the same way every time. It changes. Not randomly, but according to what the ritual demands. This is something the show has quietly shown us over and over. When Julie and Victor entered the same faraway tree, they ended up in completely different places. That should not happen if the trees are just portals. But it makes perfect sense if the trees are tools of the ritual. They send people where they need to be, not where they want to go. That distinction matters. Tabitha wanted answers, but the ritual wanted something else. And if she forced it, there would have been consequences. We've already seen what happens when someone tries to skip ahead. Look at Dale. He entered the tree at the wrong time and paid for it immediately. That wasn't just bad luck. That was punishment. The show keeps repeating this lesson. Shortcuts lead to disaster. That's why the boy in white intervened. Not because he was hiding the truth, but because Tabitha was about to break the sequence. And that tells us something terrifying. The boy in white cannot create the path. He can only protect it. That makes him less powerful than we thought. And maybe more tragic. Because imagine knowing how to save everyone but being unable to tell them. Imagine watching people die because they haven't earned the knowledge yet. That seems to be his curse. And episode 9 gave us another example. The tunnels. Boyd's original plan was simple. Gather people, go underground, dig up the children's bones, and try to break whatever is controlling the town. On paper, it sounds smart. But Sophia knew it would fail. And she said something very interesting. She told Clara not to stop them. She said they had the right idea, but it wasn't going to work. Again, the wording matters. The right idea. The wrong execution. That's ritual logic. Digging up the bones was necessary. But not like that. Not with random people. Not with Boyd leading. That was never the intended path. The ritual required Jade and Tabitha. Why them? Because they are the originals. The first parents. The ones tied to the sacrificed children. That connection is deeper than anyone realized. And the children knew it too. That's why they appeared to Tabitha. Not to scare her. To guide her. But only after she remembered. Again, the sequence matters. First memory. Then understanding. Then action. Not the other way around. This is why the Angoi children never explained themselves clearly. People thought they were just creepy. But what if they were following the same rules as the boy in white? They can't directly reveal the truth either. They can only point. Only repeat. Only lead. That changes everything about their role. They are not hunting Tabitha. They are preparing her. And now we understand why. Because Tabitha and Jade are the only ones who can finish what started long ago. But this is where the man in yellow becomes even more dangerous. Because if he knows the ritual too, then he knows exactly who matters. And that's why Jade keeps getting targeted. Think about it. The visions. The symbol. The one-eyed man. The constant pressure. At first, it looked like the town was breaking Jade down. But what if it was shaping him? And the man in yellow was trying to stop that process before it finished? That would explain everything. It would explain why Sophia cut the ladder. It would explain why Fatima was poisoned. It would explain why every time progress is made, chaos follows. Because the enemy isn't trying to kill everyone. He's trying to disrupt the order. To break the ritual before it can be completed. And if that's true, then episode 9 wasn't just another chapter. It was the closest the town has ever come to finishing the cycle, which means season 4 could be the final battle between completion and corruption. But there's still one major mystery left. If the boy in white cannot tell people the truth directly, then why did he send Boyd to Martin? Because that single choice may have started the most important chain reaction in the entire story. Boyd meeting Martin may have looked like a random nightmare at first. A chained man in a dungeon. Strange worms in his blood. A warning that made no sense. And then Martin infecting Boyd before dying. For a long time, it felt disconnected from everything else. But now, looking back after episode 9, it might be the most important ritual in the entire series. Because that moment created a chain reaction. Boyd returned carrying Martin's blood. That blood killed Smiley. Smiley's death changed the balance of the town. Then Smiley was reborn through Fatima. And now Fatima is somehow connected to him. That's not random. That's a sequence. And if the boy in white sent Boyd there, then he knew this would happen. But again, notice how he did it. He didn't explain. He didn't tell Boyd, go here, meet Martin, take the blood, kill Smiley. He just pointed him toward the tree. That's it. That's the pattern. The boy in white never gives instructions. Only direction. Because direction preserves choice. And choice may be part of the ritual too. That's important. If people are forced into truth, the ritual breaks. But if they choose the truth themselves, it holds. That could be the difference between Christopher and Jade. Christopher was told. Jade is discovering. Christopher collapsed under knowledge. Jade is surviving it. That might be why this cycle feels different. For the first time, the town is not repeating the same exact path. It's evolving. Tabitha remembered her past lives. Jade played the song. The children responded. And the man in yellow seemed interested. That part stood out to me. He didn't look afraid. He looked curious. Almost excited. That tells us something. This may be new territory for him too. Maybe no cycle has ever reached this point before. Maybe Christopher never got this far. Maybe Victor's cycle failed before the remembering ritual was complete. But now things are changing. And that's because the boy in white adapted. That's the real reason he cannot help directly. Not because he doesn't want to. Because he learned direct help causes failure. It creates panic, corruption, death. And worst of all, repetition. That's what the town feeds on. Cycles. Loops, failed rituals, starting over again. The man in yellow wants that. He needs that. Because as long as the loop continues, the system stays alive. But the boy in white only needs one successful cycle. One. That's all it takes. One complete ritual. One correct sequence. One moment where Jade and Tabitha finish what Christopher never could. And suddenly everything ends. That's why he protects them. That's why he appears at key moments. That's why he stopped Tabitha. That's why he guided Victor. That's why he sent Boyd to Martin. Every move has been precise. Painful. But necessary. And now the biggest clue of all is Ethan. Think about Ethan's role. He understands stories, quests, rules, cycles, more than anyone else. What if that's not accidental? What if Ethan is the one who will finally understand the complete ritual before anyone else? Not because he's chosen, but because he sees the logic of this place more clearly. Children keep being central to this story. The sacrificed children. Victor as a child. Ethan now. Even the boy in white himself. That connection feels too deliberate. And if the final ritual involves a child making the final choice, then Ethan may be the most important person in the town. Which would explain why the town keeps pulling him deeper into its mysteries. And here's the scariest part. If all of this is true, then season 4 won't be about escaping. It will be about finishing. Completing the ritual the right way. Because escape was never about finding a door. It was always about understanding the system. That's why the boy in white leaves breadcrumbs. That's why the children whisper. That's why the visions keep repeating. And that's why every answer comes with suffering. Because knowledge is never free. It has to be earned. And the moment it's earned the right way, the curse breaks. The boy in white knows that. The man in yellow fears that. And now, for the first time, Jade and Tabitha might be closer than anyone has ever been. which means one thing. The next move could change everything.